everyone, and welcome to Vlogmas Day 11. I feel like I'm getting a little bit better at remembering the days of the week, like the days of Vlogmas. But we are starting this vlog a little bit late today, which is okay. It's not that big of a deal. But already today I have made a cup of coffee. I actually filmed today's Vlogmas, which is Vlogmas Day 10. I actually filmed that today and edited it and uploaded it. It's up, it's out there. The only reason I did that is because I felt like I needed a little bit of a break yesterday and I didn't really want to film another vlog. So I said, you know what, I'm going to give myself the day yesterday and just chill out and relax, and then I can always film today and upload it and everything like that. So now here we are. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon and I am actually currently working on getting another video ready. I'm doing like my holiday wish list sort of video. I'm basically compiling an entire like collage of different things that I want to add to my wish list, and so I am working on that right now. I might film that tomorrow, and so that's been really fun. Been working on that, and then I'm also about to make some lunch, so we definitely have to go do that. But the most important thing is that I need to figure out what I'm going to read next. So I don't really have anything currently checked out from either Libby or Hoopla. And I do have some books on Libro FM that I've gotten this past year from the influencer program. And so I could choose from that list. I'm just not sure if that's really what I want. So I'm definitely gonna have to try to figure out what kind of mood I'm in at the moment, because clearly it is not a Christmas romance mood, unfortunately. So I just have to figure that out. But I was thinking I could do sort of like a little check-in at the moment, like a little reading check-in. So as you guys probably remember, at the beginning of this month I read Fall Into You by Caroline Frank, which I actually really enjoyed. I was so surprised. It's like a fall inspired romance, which I think that if I'm going to read a sort of like very specific romance book, it's going to be a seasonal romance book and not necessarily a holiday specific romance book. So instead of like maybe a Christmas one, I could find a winter inspired romance that might be a little bit more up my alley. I'm not quite sure, but I really enjoyed this fall inspired romance and I thought it was a lot of fun. And I think really my only big critique of this book was that it was too short. But I feel like that's kind of the name of the game this month, is that I have just like picked up a lot of pretty short books. Then I also read Second Chance Mistletoe Kisses by Anne Marie Meyer, and that was another really short book, but that was a Christmas romance. This one was fine. It was fine. It was an interesting way to spend like 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever it was. And overall, I just kind of felt like it was meh. The characters were okay. The plot was fine. The romance was fine. It was like a second chance romance sort of deal. And like the main female character is a single mom and she is pretty down on her luck. She's not really bringing in a lot of money, so she's really struggling. And she ends up kind of running into her, I believe her high school boyfriend or something like that. And they haven't seen each other for a while and they end up kind of running into each other by chance. I believe that she might have hit his car. I can't remember. But they kind of end up rekindling their romance from before. And it is really cute, but nothing to write home about. And then I did just finish A Court of Sugar and Spice by Rebecca F. Kenny. I believe I finished that yesterday, or was that 2 days ago at this point? I think it was yesterday. And this is actually a lot darker of a romance than I thought it was. For some reason, I know that there were trigger warnings in the beginning of this audiobook, which I have actually been noticing has happened a lot more recently. At least with the last few romance books I've picked up, they have had trigger warnings or content warnings in the beginning of each audiobook, which I think is really cool. But as someone who doesn't really have anything that's like super triggering or like any sort of content that I would, you know, really stay away from, I don't tend to notice them, or I don't really tend to pay attention to them, I guess. So I'll be like, yeah, this book had trigger warnings in the beginning of the audiobook, but I won't really remember what they are. But with this book, I guess I just like didn't really think about it all that hard, and it is definitely a darker romance. If you've ever heard of the book The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty by Anne Rice, I believe that she was writing it under a pseudonym, and I can't really remember what the pseudonym was at the moment, but it's basically a dark romance retelling of Sleeping Beauty and is extremely smutty and very much like every content warning you could think of, like sexual assault, rape, stuff like that. And A Court of Sugar and Spice definitely reminded me a lot of The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty, as in like it's like a dark fairy tale retelling, but this one is just like slightly less intense compared to the Anne Rice book. The Anne Rice book, I actually read about half of it and I just like stopped reading it because I'm like, you know what, it's basically the same thing over and over and over again, and it's really just shock value, shock value, shock value. And it just like wasn't really connecting with me in any kind of way. I feel like it's just like a book for people who are really into like BDSM or stuff like that and just want to read a book that just has that, which is totally fine, but not for me. Just not for me. And yeah, I feel like this book has a little bit more plot and a little bit more character development compared to the Anne Rice book, which is great. And again, this book was just fine. It was just fine. The smutty parts were fine. The regular parts were also fine. The plot was okay. The characters were fine. Everything was just, you know, like a solid 3 stars. Again, nothing to write home about, nothing that I was super excited about. I have actually read a much better Nutcracker retelling, though way less smutty. So I mean, like, if you want the smutty factor, definitely go with A Court of Sugar and Spice. If you want like a better, more solid retelling of the Nutcracker that actually kind of like sticks a little bit more to the plot of the Nutcracker, as I know like the Nutcracker doesn't really have like a very coherent plot, but if you want one that sticks a little bit more to like the retelling side, I would definitely go with The Enchanted Sonata, which I absolutely loved. I read it about a year or so ago and it was fantastic. It was phenomenal. That one has a really great romance to it, which I really appreciated. But yeah, so I just wanted to kind of like give you a little bit of like a overview of the books that I've read, especially as we go towards like the midway point of Vlogmas. Just wanted to do a little bit of a check-in. And so yeah, so I think I'm gonna go and make some food, and I made some teriyaki chicken last night from Trader Joe's, and like I added peas and carrots. I like to add some sort of like vegetable to it because I feel like, you know, it's just like teriyaki chicken and then I have like rice and it's like, okay, like that's kind of boring. Usually I'll do broccoli, but we didn't have any broccoli from Trader Joe's specifically, and that's where I love the frozen broccoli from. If you ever want frozen broccoli that like feels like so close to being fresh, Trader Joe's. I don't really like the ones from like Albertsons or Walmart or whatever. It's Trader Joe's. So yeah, I decided to do peas and carrots with that. So I'm gonna go heat up some of that and enjoy it with probably just like my water. That's like all I have with me today. So yeah, we're gonna go make some food, or I guess like reheat food that I made yesterday. Okay, so I did actually decide on an audiobook that I wanted to listen to, and I chose Cult Following by J.W. Acker, and the subtitle says the extreme sects that capture our imaginations and take over our lives. It's basically like the book Cultish, if you've ever read that book, but personally, at least so far, I've only listened to about 17% of this book, but so far I have to say that it's a lot better than Cultish. Mainly because my biggest critique of Cultish was the fact that like the majority of the cults that she talked about, and also the way that she talked about them, was just so like run-of-the-mill. It was like, yeah, the very stereotypical, like the first cults that come to mind, which ones are they, and like she puts them in the book. And it's like, okay, yeah, like that's fine. Like I guess if you've like never thought about cults before in your life, or you've like never been curious about it before, sure, maybe this would be really interesting to some people because like, I don't know, maybe they're just not familiar with cults. But also, why are you picking up a book about cults if you just like have never been intrigued by them before in the past? Like there's no way. And so many of the cults that she talked about are ones that like, even if you're not interested in cults, you know what they are. Like Scientology, Heaven's Gate, stuff like that. And this one already within the first few chapters has talked about cults that I've never heard of before. And so I'm really intrigued by that. I think that that's really exciting and really interesting as somebody who has been really interested in like learning about cults throughout most of my life. That's how I spent most of my time on the internet when I was a kid. I would like look up like stuff like cults or like, you know, paranormal things, hauntings, creepy stuff, all that kind of like that was my time on the internet when I wasn't on like Club Penguin or something like that. So actually like reading this book and seeing that there are cults that I've either never heard of before or only know very little about is so exciting. So if you're kind of like that as well and you also felt like cultish was a little bit too like surface level, highly recommend Cult Following. It's really, really good so far. Yeah, so I've been reading that. And I totally forgot that my mom has her staff meeting today and we only have one car. So I am not going to get to go to Planet Fitness today, which is fine. I can always take a day off. It's not that big of a deal, but that just means that I have more time to read my audiobook. So I need to go make some dinner and then I can come back and listen to more of my audiobook. Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday morning and I am finishing this vlog. Or like, it's not even really a vlog, it's mainly just like an update of like everything I've been reading, what I've started reading, all that kind of stuff. So we're just wrapping all of that up. But I also kind of wanted to talk about, because we are basically nearing the midway point of Vlogmas, I wanted to do a little bit of a check-in and be like, do you guys have anything that you want to see specifically? Is there anything I could do to make the videos a bit more exciting? Anything like that. Literally any sort of like opinion or suggestion that you have, definitely let me know in the comments down below because I want to hear them and I want to make this Vlogmas even more interesting and exciting and engaging. I've tried to kind of like sprinkle in different kinds of videos, do sit down videos, do vlogs, all that kind of stuff, but I don't know if there's anything specific that you guys are looking for. I believe we will be having something kind of exciting coming up on Saturday, or no, Sunday. I always forget when professional football plays, but Sunday we are going to go to the Chargers game, so that'll be really exciting and I will definitely bring you guys along with me. As you guys probably know, they play at SoFi in Los Angeles. I have been to SoFi before, not for the Eras Tour, unfortunately, but I have seen the Chargers play at SoFi. And it's honestly a really interesting stadium, but it's huge. It's huge and I don't love it. If I'm gonna be like, I don't know if that's like a controversial opinion. Let me know if you live in LA or if you live in California and you've been to SoFi, what do you think about it? Like, do you like it or do you not like it? Because when I went, there were like parts of it that I really enjoyed. I really like the little like pond lake situation thing that's going on in the front. I think that's really cute. I like that there are a lot of places where you can stand while watching the game. I don't typically like to sit in my seat when I'm at like a professional sports game, but like also I don't know, there's just something about SoFi that like just does not work for me. I think it might also be the concessions, like the food is bad, the drinks are really expensive. Everything is just kind of like very corporate feeling and doesn't feel very like personable, if that makes sense. But anyway, we're gonna go and I am excited to see a football game in person. But other than that, I don't really have any like specific like big plans until Christmas. I do know that we need to get our tree, we need to decorate more, and I will definitely film that process. So definitely look forward to that because my dad actually got a $50 gift card to Home Depot. So we're gonna go get our tree there like we usually do. So we have that to look forward to. I can't think of anything else really. Like, I am going to film my wish list video and I'm gonna do that today. So that'll be really exciting. But other than that, I'm like, what else do we want to see? Also, as you guys know, I started the book Cult Following by J.W. Ocker and I am 34% of the way through that and it's really good so far. Like I said yesterday, I really appreciate the fact that like it's really focusing on cults that I've never really heard of, and the only time they've actually mentioned a cult that I am familiar with is I think a chapter or two ago. They talked about Jim Jones and that was it. Like so far I'm 34% of the way through this book and I have been introduced to so many more cults and like cult leaders and stuff like that I've like never heard of before, which is so intriguing. So highly recommend this book. I got it from the Libro FM influencer audiobook whatever program. I never know what to call this because I actually don't know the name of this program, but basically if you make content about books online, I highly recommend going to the Libro FM site and applying for the influencer program. It's really great. You get a choice of like at least 30 audiobooks every month, and you get to choose like 10 of them, and they are new or almost about to be published books. So definitely check it out if you make bookish content online. I don't know exactly what the requirements are, but I applied I think about a year or so ago and I got in, so definitely check it out if you haven't. But yeah, I feel like that's everything I wanted to talk about for today. You know, I'm really enjoying the book I'm reading. I have been listening to more podcasts, so maybe if you guys want like a podcast recommendations video, I could totally do that. I've definitely started listening to a few new podcasts this year, so I have newer recommendations than I've had in the past, so definitely let me know if you're interested in that. So yeah, I feel like that's everything I have for you today. So if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. Also go ahead and follow all the links down below, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye!